This is Georgia Raysman and the Monday Scoop, and I'm talking today with Rosemary Cole, who is a gardener and a passionate gardener for many years. And we're going to talk about gardening, which is an interest for a great number of people, both young and old, and especially as we get older and we have more time. Kids are grown and flown, and there's time to devote to our homes and our surroundings. Rosemary has gardened for many years in the South, predominantly in Louisiana and now in Texas. So both of those are very warm environments, and so I think her experience is going to be one of what do you do with warm climates and with very, very different soil situations. So first, Rosemary, how did you begin to be a gardener? I mean, were you a gardener as a child? Was your mother a gardener? Or how did this all start for you?
My first memories of gardening were when the children were small. And it was mostly plants, and I found that I could busy myself with my plants and my anxiety level went like that.
Oh, that's nice.
And of course then, you know, with children, as you said, you're so busy when you're raising children. And it wasn't until my nest was empty that I really got involved in gardening. And I wanted for many, many years to become a master gardener. But the classes were on Thursdays and I was still working.
Well, let's get to that later, because I really want to talk about what did you enjoy about just the function of gardening? Was it getting your hands dirty? Was it seeing things grow? Was it envisioning what things were going to look like around the yard? I mean, what is there about gardening? I like looking at gardens vaguely, but I have no desire to go out there and make big holes.
I like making big holes.
You like making big holes?
Yes, I do. I like dirt. I make rounds every day in my garden to see what's growing, what doesn't look right. I can tell if the kitty has been in my vegetable garden because something will be amiss. Besides the idea that you can make something better, I think there's a spiritual aspect. I feel closer to, don't laugh, I feel closer to God in the garden than anywhere. It's peaceful, even if there's trucks and things going on, it's how I relax.
So has it always been flowers? Is it non-flowering? Has it always been, I mean, what's your primary focus in gardening?
Both. I didn't do vegetables for many years. It was just flowers and making things look pretty, which is always nice. But providing food makes you feel very noble. Mm-hmm. And finding out what will grow well in your garden, even though it's supposed to, but it doesn't. It's a puzzle, and you have to figure out what your little garden with your soil and your light will do, and it's fun learning those things.
And your skill and your attentiveness, I guess. I mean, you don't have to think about predators, right? I mean, there are rabbits and the stuff that comes in there and chews it all up.
You do, and in our area, if you don't have a fenced yard, you have to worry about what's deer resistant, because that can make havoc.
I think deer are a blight all over the country, right? I mean, deer are not just in the Southwest.
Yes, and people feed them and they propagate, they're everywhere. So yeah, that's a problem for gardeners that don't have enclosed spaces.
So people garden and then they're bending over and they're hurting their backs, right?
Well, there are tools that you can get. I have an ergonomic shovel that's made for women. Mm-hmm. And it's even sized for my height. I'm very short. I'm only 5 feet tall, and this shovel is designed for my height.
And how is it ergonomic? What makes it different than any other short shovel?
Well, I don't know if I'm supposed to give tips about. There's a company out there online that makes these things. One of them is a physical therapist. And these two ladies came up with the idea of her shovel. And what makes it just for women is on the base of the spade, the foot pads are wider so that we can get more traction because we don't have the strength. And the handle has a loop so that you can get a grip on it,
So it's
rather than just a pole.
This design with women
Designed
in mind.
with
Interesting.
women
And you find that
involved.
makes a difference. That's made a difference.
Oh, I love my shovel. Yes, yes. I take good care of my shovel.
So how big a space were you gardening in Shreveport or in Louisiana?
Well, we had a large yard, so maintenance of shrubs was an issue every year.
And what sorts of shrubs grow in Louisiana? I mean, I'm from the Northeast, so I know about
Well,
azaleas.
We have azaleas there, a lot of
lilacs.
azaleas.
You don't have lilacs. Lilacs are northern plants,
We
aren't
do.
they? Really?
We do have lilacs. You're going to ask me what grows there, what shrubs grow there. And I'm going to refer you to the internet, where if you put in your zone, you can find out a little more about
That's right.
that.
The country is divided into zones by what the temperature, the
Yes.
highest and lowest temperatures are. Is that it?
Pretty much, it's temperatures. And I am in, I believe, zone 8. It's a very good idea to stick to what grows well in your zone.
Now, don't fight your zone. And don't fight your soil, right?
Oh,
Or do you want to fight your soil?
don't fight your soil. Well, what you mean by fight is you have to work with it. Our soil in where I am in Central Texas is clay and rock.
Oh, that sounds very favorable. Clay and rock. What wouldn't want to grow in clay and rock?
Well, you need air and soil, and you need nutrients, and
I was being facetious. I wouldn't want to grow in clay and rock. I mean, I can't imagine a root trying to grow through clay and rock.
Well,
you must have to do all
we have
sorts of
to
stuff
build
to
up
it.
our beds.
Yeah.
For vegetables, I have squares that I use that are separate, and for my plants, I just amend the soil. If I put in an annual, I amend the soil, and always use the best soil conditioners I can find. I never skimp on soil.
So annuals are, well, before we even get to that, when you say you enclose your vegetables, are those raised beds? One thing I do know is that you can have raised beds.
Raised beds are wonderful for older people.
Yeah. Can they be very raised, or are we talking about like waist level beds?
If
or
you
they're
have
just raised 6 inches above the ground.
Mine are not really raised. Mine are about 8. But I work in a community garden where the beds are raised about the height of 3 stone
Bricks or something, or
no,
cement blocks?
Cement blocks, thank you. Yeah, and that's very nice because you don't have to bend over as much. So that helps
so
too.
The cement blocks are there, and then what is there? Some sort of a base, a permeable or impermeable
You can have a base,
or
you can just use the soil. Depends on what you're planting. If you're planting potatoes, they have to go deep. If you're planting spinach,
because potatoes go upside down.
yes, they do.
I mean, they grow in the ground.
They grow in the
green
ground.
stuff grows above, and
So-
the potatoes go down. That's
right.
all I know about potatoes.
Root vegetables,
Root
if you're
vegetables,
planting
right.
carrots and potatoes and things like
they
that,
need to be
then
deep soil.
You need deeper soil, right?
So do you grow vegetables now?
I do. I do. Right.
And what do you do to keep the deer out of them?
Well, in my yard, it's all fenced, so they don't get in. We have, now I'm not sure about vegetables, but I know we have a guide for plants where you can buy a plant, and over here on this side of the guide it says whether it's deer resistant or not, or somewhat deer resistant. So people who have to worry about that can do that. Now about vegetables, I think that they're probably fair game.
So if you have a fence, don't you have to worry about the deer jumping over the fence?
Well, you do.
So do you?
Deer resistant, not deer proof.
Proof, yeah. Well, we have a garden on Nantucket that is a small enclosed garden, but it also had, the previous owners had set this up with raised beds. I would never have done this, luckily. But it's got a fence, it's got raised beds, and then it's got these bamboo posts diagonally across the top of it's relatively small. So the deer theoretically are discouraged from jumping into it by the presence of these posts. So I would have thought you'd have to protect the top of your garden from the deer jumping in.
I have never had to deal with that, so
Your deer are a little retarded in that way. They're not jumping into
they haven't found me.
Haven't
so
found.
I'm grateful. I do have to worry about the neighbors' kitty cats and such who think my garden bed is a litter box.
So you can keep them from doing that by just putting in netting around the bottom of the fence?
And how do you get? Oh, I guess you could do all that if you wanted to. But if you want access to your bed, that's kind of prohibitive. And as things produce, I'm thinking of cherry tomatoes and peppers, which are proliferative in the summer. You want to pick every day. So if you've got a netting, that's one more obstacle.
So what do you grow in the vegetable garden? Do you grow potatoes and carrots?
In our community garden, we do. I don't. Right now, I've got some lettuces left. It's about the end of the season for that. I've got herbs. I have asparagus.
They take a long time to grow, don't they?
This is my second year. Yeah, you don't pick the first year. So they say the second year you can pick some.
Wow.
But they'll stay for, you may have them for 25 years. So that's a wonderful thing. I stick to the stuff that's pretty foolproof. Peppers and tomatoes. I've done cucumbers. It depends on your space. Cucumbers need to climb, other things need to run, squashes need to run, watermelon needs to run.
Can they run up? I mean, not watermelon.
Not watermelon.
Can
squash can go up.
Beans run up,
Squash and beans can go up. It depends on how much space you have. And of course you need full sun for vegetables. And that's very important. So I have had to play with, because you don't know where the sun, you may know where the sun's going to be in July, or you may not. This is a new house to us, so we had to go through a year of, well, where's the sun now? I planted a fall garden thinking I had it in the right place, and no, it just didn't get enough sun in the fall. But in
so plants are that sun sensitive? It's a matter of 6 hours as opposed to 8 hours, or 8 hours as opposed to 10?
The more sun you give them, the happier they seem to be. Yeah.
So getting back to what we were originally talking about earlier off camera, this master gardener business, you're a second or third of my friends who have known about this. So I gather this is some entity or something started by the Horticultural Society years ago to encourage people to learn more about horticulture, or what?
To provide people with more knowledge and to disseminate more knowledge to gardeners and farmers. It started, I believe, in 1973. There are master gardener programs in all 50 states. The requirements differ from state to state and may even differ from county to county. But they all have a service component.
And an education component.
An education component.
It's pretty stiff in many cases.
Pretty stiff. The program I went through had 10 days, once a week, for, I think it was like 9:30 to 2. We had labs every time. We did soil testing, we built a compost pile, we had to collect bugs. That was not my favorite.
Well, that was fun. Wow, collect bugs.
Collect bugs and mount them, because bugs are integral to,
Can't you just show me a bug? I have to collect it and mount it?
Yes. They didn't ask.
Bugs.
It kept a lot of people away from the Master Gardener program. It did, but this was a requirement, and I was going to do it, and I did. And then we had an exam. We had it was open book, but we had to take it home, and it took forever. But not all Master Gardener programs have that. Some of them require that you just do 75 hours of community service in gardening and then some other requirements, and then you get certified. It's very individual how it works, so you have to research for your area.
So they're state by state and sometimes county by county.
Yes.
And then the idea is that they're educating people who are interested in gardening in pesticides and plant management and
pesticides,
soil
plant
management, stuff like that.
Soils, fruit trees, ornamental trees. They go into more things. I mean, I'm not going to be, as I was saying, I think I was saying to you the other day, I'm not going to be spraying pecan trees from the air.
Good.
So that
Good. Thank you.
That was not my area of interest.
But they taught you about it anyway.
But I learned about it, right? And I learned about pesticides and getting an advanced. There's an advanced Master Gardener in the program that I was in, where you do get a certification so that you can do pest control safely and be certified for that. But
And then there's community service, meaning you go out and do whatever is required in your community, or?
right. My program had a list of things you could do. Some of it was to give talks to garden clubs, to work in a community garden, which was my favorite, to plant flowers in a city space that was not taken care of and maintain it. All those things that are make your city look better. And also we had to man the phones so that when people called in, you know, my tomatoes won't grow, or I have a black spot on my leaf, we were required to do that. And when we didn't know the answer, we didn't know where to find the answer. So
Sounds like a genius program, whoever's idea this was.
I think it's wonderful. So we don't know the answers, we know how to find the answers. And so we would help many people. And then occasionally we would get calls from professionals, from farmers and such. And we always referred them to the ag agent to answer. We didn't, you know, that we were talking about professional things, and that was beyond our scope.
So that's very interesting. So when you move from state to state, you need to become a master gardener in that other state, then?
Well, it's helpful because
I mean, if you want to maintain the master gardener status, I suppose.
Every state's different. There may be some reciprocal arrangements where you don't have to take your botany component anymore, but like soil's different in all parts of the country. You would have to redo that. It depends on the state.
So generally when you exercise, getting back to just, I mean, when you garden, have you found that you needed any particular kind of exercise to keep yourself physically in shape, or has it made certain parts of your body ache more, and what do you do about that?
Well, I'll answer that backwards. Since I have been good about doing stretching and strengthening exercises, I am less creaky after I garden. So before I was meticulous about strength and stretching, which people my age need a lot of. I would garden, I could do it, but the next day I wasn't, you know, I was tired and it was achy. And I have found since I do that consistently that I'm a better gardener and a happier gardener, because I'm not.
What kinds of exercises do you do for stretching and strengthening that are helpful gardening?
Well, if you get, I'm not quite sure how to, I don't want to get down on the floor and show you.
They're back exercises?
Mostly leg, some back, yes, definitely back, upper body, all over. I get down on my hands and knees when I garden. My problem is half of my wardrobe anyway doesn't have any knees. They're all white. But for somebody who is my age, getting up and down, if you can, you know, we can all fall down on the ground, but can we get up? So the stretching that I do is a lot of getting up and getting down. We do sit-ups, and we do push-ups, and we do planks, and we do hovers, and all that sort of thing, bridges.
So what would you say would be the takeaway for people who want to garden and continue gardening in a healthy way?
Well, if you're not very fit, and you know you're not going to be able to be very fit, get raised beds. And be sensible about what you're going to plant. If you don't plant okra, for instance, which turns into trees, and then when you have to get rid of them, you've got to dig it out like a tree, plant things that you can manage. Lettuce in the winter. Can you plant lettuce? You can't plant lettuce in the winter here.
No. I was astounded to hear your lettuce season is coming to an end. I was barely beginning in a month.
Yes. We're very fortunate. We can garden
very long
year-round.
Season. Yeah.
Yes. I plant fall tomatoes in July.
Oh.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh.
Yeah. I'm sorry. What was the question?
Well, what would be your takeaway about people who are fit and want to keep gardening? Stay fit, I guess.
It's a good way. It will be very rewarding. Getting up and down, if you're able, is very good. And it is exercise. it counts.
And you're contributing to the table.
That's right, and you don't have to. You can be organic if you want, and then you don't have to buy organic vegetables at the store.
Exorbitant prices.
Exorbitant prices. So it's very rewarding.
And eat nutritionally well.
Exactly.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for coming, Rosemary. This has really been interesting and fun.
It's been fun.
And good luck with your fending off the deer. I appreciate it. Thanks for coming.
Welcome, Georgia.
Thank you so much for joining me on Monday Scoop, and stay tuned for a new one next Monday.